Hello friends, welcome to class of transportation engineering. In previous lecture we were discussing the flexible pavement design and specifically the load distribution factors. Uh, we also discussed few cases. We drew few diagrams and understood the how to calculate the how to consider the value of load distribution factor. Uh, Before moving ahead, uh, I would like to give you a table that would state the value of load distribution factors. Okay, so please take down type of traffic in column 1, type of traffic here, type of traffic, and on the right hand side the load distribution factor. Okay, load distribution factor. So single lane traffic, load distribution factor is 1. We have already discussed. Note that commercial vehicles in both the directions should be considered. In both directions should be considered. Okay. We will go quite fast, guys. So please write down quickly. Two lane single carriageway roads. So two lane single carriageway, single carriageway roads. Okay. In this case, we discussed yesterday that it should be 0.75 as there is chance of vehicles shifting the lanes. Okay. Now, four lane single carriageway roads. Okay, four lane single carriageway. Okay, again CV in both the directions should be considered in each of these cases. Okay, guys, here it comes down to be zero point 0.4. Okay, 0.40 because there were two lanes over here. Vehicles could shift each other, shift the lane uh, from one lane to the another one. But in this case, from first lane to the third lane, so there is chance that there are three lanes that can where the vehicle can be accommodated. That's why the lane distribution factor becomes still more low. Okay, so dual two lane carriageway roads, dual two lane carriageway roads, here it is 0.75, and dual three lane oblique four lane carriageway roads, dual three lane oblique four lane carriageway roads. So for three lane it is 0.6, and for four lanes it is 0.45. Okay, so in these two cases, this one and this one, CV in only one direction should be considered. Okay, direction should be considered. You know, guys, as soon as this term is used, okay, dual stands for there is some median in between. Okay, in this terminal, according to this terminology, it stands for dual. This word dual stands for there is median in between, that is there is a divider, and you can consider traffic on either of the sides. That's why CV in only one direction is considered. Okay, so please note this point. Okay, guys, it is very important, and it is a good point on which um, small questions can be asked. Okay, guys, so when to take commercial vehicles in only one direction and when to consider commercial vehicles in both the directions. Understanding this is of prime importance. Okay, so our formula was n equal to n in CSA equal to, okay, in terms of CSA, 365 by R 1 plus R to the power n minus 1 ADF. Okay, and we just discussed the lane distribution factor, and now we will be discussing F value, that is vehicle damage factor. Okay, we should discuss now vehicle damage factor, that is F, vehicle damage factor. Okay, guys, so this A, that is already known to us how to calculate. It is initial traffic in the year of completion of construction in terms of commercial vehicles per day we have already discussed. When we will be taking up numerical examples, that time things will be still more clear to you. D, we just now discussed the lane distribution factor. R is the rate that will be given. Okay, so let's now discuss the vehicle damage factor. Okay, vehicle damage factor. So before discussing the vehicle damage factor, I need to introduce you to few terms. That is, first one is the equivalency factor. Okay, equivalency factor. It gives the damaging capacity of axle load with respect to the standard axle load. Okay, it gives damaging capacity of axle load with respect to the standard axle load. Okay, standard axle load. So it is damaging capacity of the actual, okay, the axle load that is on the road, okay, the actual load that is coming with respect to the standard axle loads that we have already discussed. Okay, so equivalency factor is given as equivalency factor. It is given as it is given as. So I'll just rub this out so I can write down over here. Yes. So equivalency factor is given as actual wheel or the axle load, actual wheel load or the axle load upon the standard wheel oblique the axle load, okay, to the power 4. Note that we don't take the direct ratio. Okay, in this case we do not take the direct ratio, but we follow the fourth power law. Okay, as per IRC, fourth power law as per IRC. Okay, we don't consider the direct ratio, but we take the actual, we follow the fourth power law as per IRC. Okay, so let us take an example just to understand this. So question is that actual wheel load is equal to 5300 kg, and the standard wheel load, as we know that standard wheel load, you should be in position to automate, tell it yourself. Okay, that is equal to 4100 kg. Okay, if it was axle load then it was 8200 kg, but since it is a wheel load it is 4100 kg. So therefore equivalency factor, okay, equivalency factor EF is equal to 5300 upon 4100 to the power 4, and answer comes out to be 2.39. Okay, 2.39. So what does this mean is the damaging capacity, that is, this stands for the damaging capacity of actual load is 2.39 times more than the standard axle damaging capacity, more than the standard axle damaging capacity. Okay, standard axle damaging capacity. This is very important to understand what is the equivalency factor. Okay, so wheel of 5300 kg is 2.39 times more damaging than that of the standard wheel of 4100 kg. Okay, so please understand. So we will discuss how this can be applied. So for that, let's take up an example. So following is the number of vehicles with different axle loads moving on a road. Determine the number of vehicles in terms of standard axle loads of 8200 kg. Okay, so please write down. The following is the number of vehicles with different axle loads moving on a road. Determine total number of vehicles in terms of standard axle loads of 8200 kg. Okay, so what they have given is axle load here in column 1, axle load in column 1, in kgs they have given. Okay, kgs. So 8200, 9280, 7200 and 8370. Okay, so these are the 4 axle loads they have given, and they have given the number of vehicles per day. Okay, number of vehicles per day, that is in n. So this is 420, 120, 570 vehicles and 450 vehicles. Okay, so total number of vehicles summation ni is 1560. Okay, so what they are asking, this is the data that has been given, and the question is determine number of vehicles in terms of standard axle loads of 8200 kg. Okay, so these are the actual axle loads and these are the number of vehicles with so and so axle loads. So this is the actual data how we receive. Okay, so the equivalency factor Fi. So you apply this formula 8200 upon 420 to the power 4, sorry, 8200 upon 8200 to the power 4, that comes out to be 1. 9280 upon 8200 comes out to be, to the power 4 comes out to be 1.64. This 0.59, 1.08. So please understand how I have done this. So it is as per the fourth power law, this one. Okay, we have used this formula, but since here it was wheel load, therefore it was 4100. Since in this case we are discussing the axle loads, it is the 8200. See, in the question also they have mentioned that the standard axle load is 8200 kg, and this is the actual axle load that is coming. Okay, 8200, 9280, 7200 and 8370. So as soon as this the actual axle load is less than the standard axle load, you see that equivalency factor is greatly reduced. Okay, please take note of this. Okay, so Fi Ni will be, so this is Fi, this column is Fi and this column is Ni. So 420 into 1 is 420, 120 into 1.64, that is 196.8, 570 into 0.59 is 336.3, and 450 into 1.08, that is 486. Okay, 486. Summation Fi_Ni is equal to 1439 commercial vehicles per day. Okay, 1439 commercial vehicles per day. Okay, so these are the total vehicles per day in terms of standard axle loads. Okay, these are the total vehicles per day in terms of standard axle loads. okay, standard axle loads or the standard vehicles we say, okay, as far as loading is concerned, okay, as far as loading for payments is concerned, okay. So you just look at this value 1560. These were the actual number of vehicles, but we have reduced it down to 14339 vehicles per day, commercial vehicles per day, because this value was lesser than 8200. Okay, that's the reason we see that there is fall down in the number of vehicles in terms of the standard axle loads. Okay, so please understand the logic behind doing this. Okay, so what was the data given to us, and what is the information that we have obtained from the given data? We have converted this data, okay, we have converted the number of vehicles into the standard vehicles having the load equal to the standard axle load. Okay, so from this, okay, from this the vehicle damaging factors, okay, can be given as, now we have got the total number of standard vehicles, so using this we can find out the vehicle damaging factor. Okay, so vehicle damaging factor will be equal to summation FYNI, that is the number of vehicles that we have now, upon NI, okay, upon NI. So this is what the vehicle damaging factor is. Okay, so the vehicle damaging factor VDF is equal to summation FYNI upon summation NI, which is equal to vehicle damaging factor. It is the damaging capacity of vehicle on the road. Okay, that is the damaging capacity of the vehicle on the road. You please write it down yourself for given group of vehicles, and it is calculated in this way. Okay, I'll write down. It is the damaging capacity of vehicle on road for a group of vehicles. Okay, for a group of vehicles, and VDF is calculated as this is how it is been calculated. Okay, and so from the given information, summation FYNI is 1439 and summation NI is 1560. So 1439 upon 1560, that is equal to zero point 0.9 is the vehicle damaging factor, the F value that we should use in our formula. Okay, so in overall, all the vehicles together, what does this mean is, in overall, okay, all the vehicles together damage the road less than the standard vehicles. Okay, together damage the road less than the standard vehicle. Okay, standard vehicle. So please understand guys, please understand this one. Okay, damage the road less than the standard vehicle. Okay, so for this given data, okay, it is exclusively for this given data, so it will vary from the number of vehicles per day and the axle loads that the actual vehicles have. Okay, okay, so let us take up numerical examples, how to calculate the CSA, that is cumulative standard axles. Before that we will discuss CBR method. Okay, in brief, just we will take some information based on the CBR method. Okay, so the basis of CBR method. Okay, we are now discussing the CBR method. Please write down CBR method. Okay, so basis is material with given CBR requires material with given CBR requires a certain thickness of pavement layer as a cover requires a certain thickness of pavement layer as a cover, certain thickness of pavement layer as a cover, okay. So material with given CBR requires certain thickness of pavement layer as a cover. That means you give the inputs will be the CBR value, and output what we will get is the thickness, okay. So the CBR design curves are of this kind, okay. CBR design curves. So it is very simple thing. CBR design curves. So on x-axis you will have depth of construction, depth of construction in centimeters, okay. And on here, okay, on x-axis the CBR ratio, okay, California bearing ratio in percentages, okay, in this way. And here is depth of construction, okay. And there will be, it will start here. No, it is not like this. It is arrow is in this direction. So here it will start from 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, like this, okay. It will go on increasing in this direction. And CBR values from 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, like this, it will go on increasing. It is x-axis is logarithmic, and this one is linear one. And so there will be curves of this kind, okay. There are curves of this kind, yes, like this, okay. I'm not drawing the exact one, okay. And here it will be given the traffic classification in which curve, the first column will be curve and the second column will be CSA, okay. Next column will be CSA, or it is given number of commercial vehicles per day exceeding 3 tons laden weight, okay. So here curve A, B, C, D, and here they have given the number of commercial vehicles. So 0 to 15, curve A stands for this, curve B is for 15 to 45, and like this, okay. The CSA values, kind of it is a CSA value, okay. So number of commercial vehicles per day, okay. So since it is actual CBR diagram that I am discussing, it is not CSA, but it is the number of commercial vehicles. But please understand that what is the data in this, okay. And here there will be A, B, C, D, okay. So what we do in CBR method is that we have got this information, okay. From this information we will find out the appropriate curve, okay. Say we got the curve B, okay. So we should find out what is the CBR. Say it is 4%, then here corresponding to the 4%, what will be the depth of the pavement that is required? That will be our depth of the pavement layer, okay. So it is straightforward that for a given CBR we find out the for given CBR of the material, we find out the depth of the material, depth of the pavement layer, okay. So higher the load, higher is the thickness of pavement thickness of subbase, okay. So higher the load, higher is the pavement thickness of subbase, okay. So this is how the CBR method works, okay. We have to find out only the depth, that is the only output from this CBR and the cumulative standard axles in the modified CBR method. As per IRC, okay, IRC 37 uses the modified CBR method, okay. modified CBR method, and there will be CSA, that is the cumulative standard axles in this place. Okay, cumulative standard axles in this place. Okay guys, so see, this is the CBR design chart. Okay, this is the CBR design chart, exactly the chart that I was discussing. The depth of construction in centimeters is given over here. Here is the California bearing ratio in percentage, and here is the traffic classification, okay, in terms of number of commercial vehicles per day exceeding 4 tons of laden weight. Okay, um, in few places it is given 3 tons, in few places it is given 4 tons. Okay, but what we should obtain from this, say it is 15 to 45. Okay, so that means it is, we should consider curve B, we should consider this curve B. Okay, so CBR of the material is say 10%, some value. Okay, then corresponding depth of thickness should be considered, that is 20%. Okay, so that's all, that is how it is. If CBR value is 3%, then the depth of thickness is still increased. Okay, thickness depth is still increased. Okay, so see, this way it goes. So higher is the CBR value, lesser is the depth, simply, and higher the load, higher is the thickness. Okay, so yes, this comes from IRC 37 2001. Okay, I have purposefully taken this also. It comes from IRC 37 2001, and this is chart for modified CBR, uh, which gives the pavement thickness design chart for traffic between 1 to 10 MSA, stands for million standard axles. Okay, 1 to 10 million standard axles. So here on y-axis it is the total thickness of pavement in mm, and these are the CBR values. Okay, so same chart, somewhere modifications are done, and like this there will be still more charts, that is MSA between 20 to 30 may be there. Okay, like this. So here consider one chart. Suppose your CBR is 5%, then what is the pavement thickness? From here you will get the pavement thickness. Okay, that's also, it is a very simple method. But what we still don't know is, what I have not yet discussed in the class, is how to find out this MSA, the million standard axles. We have just discussed the formula for this. Let us now discuss the uh, numerical examples based on this. Okay, so let us take up numerical questions based on this. Numerical questions. Okay, so the first question is, a pavement of two-way single lane road on a soil of CBR 5. Okay, so it has been given that two-way and single lane. Okay, and the CBR is given to be 5%. Okay, for initial traffic of 1000 CV per day, for initial traffic of 1000 CV per day, 1000 commercial vehicles per day. The period of construction is 5 years, and the design life is 15 years after opening to traffic. So let's say x equal to 5 years, the construction period, and design life is 15 years. Design life is 15 years. Vehicle distribution factor has been given, that is equal to 2.5. Rate of growth of traffic is 7.5% per annum. What will be the cumulative standard axles on the pavement in its life? So thing is that we should find out life at the end of the construction period. Okay, traffic at the end of the construction period. Okay, so traffic at end of construction period. Okay, so that will be given as a equal to p in bracket 1 plus r by 100 to the power n. Okay, or say x or n. Okay, so which is equal to 1001 plus 7.5 upon 100 to the power 5, which is equal to 1435.62 commercial vehicles per day. Okay, so now you can use the formula that commercial standard cumulative standard axle is equal to 365 by r 1 plus r to the power n minus 1 ADF. 365 by r is 0.075. 1 plus 0.075 to the power n is 15 years now minus 1. Okay, ADF, A value is now known to us, that is equal to 1435.62. Lane distribution factor, since it is two-way single lane road, two-way and single lane road, the lane distribution factor has to be 1. Based on this data we have already discussed how. Okay, and the F value, okay, F value, it is F is given to be 2.5. The vehicle damage factor is given to be 2.5. So cumulative standard axles come to be 34.21 into 10 to the power 6 commercial vehicles, which is equal to 34.21 million standard axles. It is expressed as million standard axles. Okay, so I hope it is clear to you. Have a look of it once. Okay, so the next question is, two-lane road at present. So two-lane road at present carrying a traffic of 1000 commercial vehicles per day, CV per day. It is to be strengthened for growing traffic needs. The vehicle damage factor is given to be 3, and the rate of growth per annum R is equal to 10%. Period of construction period is equal to 5 years. The payment is to be designed for life of 15 years. Life is equal to 15 years after construction. The CSA used is a very straightforward question, I should not discuss. Since it is two-lane road, the lane distribution factor will be 0.75. We have considered two-lane single carriageway since information about median is not given, so that I have considered is to be two-lane single carriageway. So first of all we need to find out A value. A equal to P1 plus R to the power N. P is equal to 1000 into 1 plus 0.05 to the power N is 5, so 1611 CV, and so CSA equal to 365 upon 0.10. 1 plus R is 0.10 to the power 15 minus 1 into 1611 into 3 into 0.75, which is equal to 42.03 into 10 to the power 6 commercial vehicles per day, which is equal to 42.03 MSA, million standard axles. Very straightforward question, but this question is been asked repeatedly in the GATE examinations guides. So it is important to study this. Okay, I took it quickly because I wanted you people to solve it. Okay, and not I. So this question was asked in GATE. Okay, GATE 2007. This is GATE 2007 question. So the following data pertains to number of commercial vehicles per day, assuming also it is given some information that following data pertains to number of commercial vehicles per day for the design of flexible pavement for national highways as per IRC 37/1984. Okay, I have written only part of it. Assuming the traffic growth factor R equal to 7.5% per annum for both the types of vehicles, the CSA load repetitions for the design life of 10 years is equal to what? Okay, and the type of commercial vehicles per day is given two axle trucks and tandem axle trucks and vehicles considering the number of lanes, that is they already consider the lane distribution factor. Okay, they have already considered the lane distribution factors. This means the vehicle considering the number of lanes, they have considered the lane distribution factor already, and vehicle damage factor is also given. So assuming the traffic growth rate so and so, what is the CSA load repetitions for design of 10 years? So it is two different types, okay, two different types of vehicles. So what you do, first find out CSA for trucks, which will come out to be some value. Then find out the CSA for the tandem axle trucks. There will be some value. Say I have got the values. That is, it comes out to be 51.63 MSA and here it comes out to be 6.19 MSA, and so that CSA load repetition for design life of 10 years comes out to be summation of these two, that comes out to be 57.82 MSA. I am not going to discuss, I am not going to solve this. Okay, so let me show calculations for this value. So CSA is equal to 365 upon R is 0.075 in bracket 1 plus 0.075 to the power 15 minus 1 into 200 because only 200 vehicles, and 6 is the vehicle damage factors, and here they have already considered the lane distribution factor, so 200 I have written and not multiplied with any lane distribution factor. Okay, so the answer comes out to be 6.19 million standard axles. Okay, so that is what it is I have written, and similarly I calculated for this 51.63, and summation of these two is the answer to this question. Yes, so next question is calculate the design repetitions for the 20 years period for various wheel loads. So the period is 20 years period. Design wheel loads equivalent to design, this is the design wheel load to 2268 kg. Wheel load using following data for maximum traffic in both the directions is 1860 vehicles per day. Okay, over a 4-lane road it is, and the details of the distribution of the wheel loads for the commercial vehicles are as given below. The commercials, the cumulative standard axles per lane of the lane will be LDF is given and R value is given. Okay, so they are asking CSA equal to what? What they are asking is CSA equal to what? N is given to be 20 years. Standard axle load is given to be 2268 kg, and P is given to be 1860 commercial vehicles per day. Lane distribution factor I am not writing separately, it is at 0.4 and R is equal to 7.5. So here they have mentioned the wheel loads in kg, the column 1, and percentage in total traffic volume, okay, of this particular wheel loads. So these are the values been mentioned: 25, 12, 9, 6, 4, 2 and 1. Okay, so they are in percentages. So equivalent single wheel load will come out to be, here it will be 1 because see it will be 2268 upon, so it is equivalent standard wheel load, or equivalent, yes, equivalent standard wheel load, since it is the wheel load is been given. So 2268 upon the standard wheel load is 2268 to the power 4, so it comes out to be 1. Okay, so similarly for all this it comes out to be, here it comes out to be 2.07, here it comes out to be 3.84, here it comes out to be 6.55, 10.49, 16 and 23.43. Okay, that is the equivalent single wheel load. So equivalent commercial vehicles per day comes out to be, that is summation FYNI. Okay, that comes out to be 25. Please find out FINI values. Okay, here it is 24.84. Next one will be 34.56, 39.3, 41.96, 32, and 23.43. Summation of which will be summation NIFI will be equal to 221.09. Okay, 221.09. So in percentages here it comes out to be summation NI comes out to be 59%. So vehicle damage factor can be found out from this. Vehicle damage factor is equal to summation NIFI upon summation NI, which is equal to 221.09.59 upon 59 equal to 3.74%. Okay, 3.74. So please check for calculations. Okay guys, so 3.74. So the n value they are asking us to find out, the CSA they are asking. Okay, yes, they are asking for the CSA value. So the n equal to 365 by r is 0.075 upon 1 plus 0.075 to the power 20 minus 1 into 1097 So this comes out from, actually this comes out from 1860 into the 0.59. Okay, 0.59 into 0.4 into 3.74. I'll write it properly on the next slide. Okay guys, sorry. So I'll repeat it. Okay, I'll write it over here. So n equal to 365 upon 0.075 in bracket 1 plus 0.075 to the power 20 minus 1 into 1097 into zero point 0.4 into 3.74. Okay, this comes from 1860 into 0.59. The reason being, okay, the reason being, in question it is mentioned that the commercial vehicles, okay, commercial vehicles are only 59% of the total traffic volume. So this value, it is the mixed traffic. Okay, mixed traffic in both the direction is 1860, and you see that the commercial vehicles are only 59%. So we are considering in this calculations only the commercial vehicles. That is the reason we are considering 1860 into 0.59. Okay, so that is 1097, and 0.4 is given to be lane distribution factor. It is mentioned in the question here that the lane distribution factor is 0.4. Over here it has been mentioned. Okay, and 3.74 we have calculated the lane distribution factor using this 3.74. Here it is, we have calculated the lane distribution factor, and that is the reason we did such a lengthy calculation. Okay, quite lengthy, something that we have already done previously. Okay, while discussing this concept of lane distribution factor, how to calculate it, but just to give you an example, I have again repeated it over here for you. So the answer comes out to be 25.9. Okay, 25.9 million standard axles, 25.9 million standard axles, and this is the answer. Okay guys, so I hope that guys we have taken some sufficient number of examples based on this calculation of cumulative standard axles for the design of flexible pavements. And note that this question is been frequently asked, and I am almost now sure that you people have understood how to calculate the uh, depth of the pavement once you are given with the uh, cumulative standard axles and this chart if it is given to you. Okay, so I hope it is very much clear to you, the calculation part, because we took sufficient number of examples. And let's now move ahead to discuss the two terms, that is the fatigue criteria. Okay, fatigue criteria. Fatigue criteria. Okay, so it is because of moving vehicles. Because of moving vehicles. Okay, it is, please write down that due to repeated loads, due to repeated wheel loads, you say, repeated wheel loads, strength of the pavement reduces. Strength of the pavement reduces. Okay, as per IRC, as per IRC, fatigue criteria can be converted into standard axles. The fatigue criteria can be converted into standard axles and added to the actual standard axles. Okay, actual standard axles. So this is how you can account for the fatigue criteria. Okay, so because of the moving wheel loads, what happens, because of the repeated loading, the strength of the pavement reduces, and we need to consider this effect in the flexible pavement design. And for that, what IRC does, the fatigue criteria can be accounted by converting it into the standard axles, and finally you add those standard axles to the actual number of standard axles, and thereby what we get is the standard axles, number of standard axles that has included the fatigue criteria, and so we get the design as per including this effect of fatigue. Okay, so next is the rutting criteria. Rutting criteria. So what is rutting? If there is pavement of this kind, okay, and vehicle is like this, so over here you see here the rut is formed. Okay, this is what rut is. The rut is formed over here. So this is what rutting is. Rutting is, this portion is called rut, and that is what rutting is. And so there is criteria is that it is, first write down what is rut. It is depression because of repeated loads, repeated load movements, okay, on same track, movements on same track. So we have seen many ruts. Okay, all of us have seen many ruts being formed on the roads. So it is because of the repeated load movement on the same track. Okay, so please write down, due to continuous movement, due to continuous movement of heavy vehicles, heavy vehicles, longitudinal depression cracks, longitudinal depression cracks develop on road, develop on road, which is called as longitudinal ruts, road, which is called as longitudinal ruts. Okay, it is very important, guys. And to avoid this effect, to avoid this effect, additional standard axles are calculated by empirical formula. Please look for the spelling. Okay, empirical formula, and added to the actual standard axles, and is added to the actual standard axles. Okay. So this is how it has been accounted, that there is an empirical formula. You find out the additional standard axles, and they are added to the actual standard axles. So in this process, you see that it is very much clear that whatever is the thing, what all you do is you go on to calculate the equivalent standard axles and you add it to the actual standard axles, and you calculate the depth of the pavement accordingly. And this is what IRC 37 follows, that is for the flexible pavement design. Okay, so guys, I hope that I have made everything clear as far as flexible pavement designs are concerned. Okay, so what we are left with now is the rigid pavement design, the airport engineering, and the railway engineering. Okay, so in the next lecture we will start with the rigid pavement design, and airport engineering and railway engineering are two small topics. Usually uh, after after rigid pavement design, we take small gap between the airport engineering and the railway engineering. Reason being, these two are very different things. Okay, because highway design and the airport and the railways, these are the two different things. So it is always good to have some gap between these two. Okay, so in the next lecture, guys, we will start with the rigid pavement design, and I declare that we are done with the flexible pavement design. And the questions that I have discussed, the numerical examples, are very important from GATE point of view. Please focus on them. Keep all the formulae in your mind. Practice so hard that the formula will be obvious for you. Okay, so you need not stress upon to remember those particular formulae. Okay, guys. So see you in the next lecture. Thank you so much.